Alright, let's go over. This is my, the 12th attorney. 12th attorney. Is she gonna be any better than the other ones? I'm gonna prove to you right now she's not. So she opens a portal here. Hello there, Marie. Dog's going crazy here. So, she wanted to open the portal, so receive, thank you. 26 other messages. It's August 1st. I think I don't know what day. I can't keep track of this anymore. So how'd it go today? Sure, is allowed to be present at my own hearings. The trial is canceled. I will attend the hearing tomorrow on your motion. You failed to appear in today's calendar call, which was set in court on 5/14/24 during a pretrial conference at the court event. Form says you appeared by phone, that you had notice that way, and also mailed notice Capias. I'll tell you further tomorrow. So this dog's chewing stuff. Hold on. Can't keep up with all this shit. So yeah, the trial's canceled. The fourth trial canceled. So there was a calendar call, a pre-trial conference set by the one that the stripper lawyer set a pre-trial conference for I don't know what, and she had quit that day anyway and lied to the judge. So yeah, I'll update you further tomorrow. And that was on the 1st. But mailed notice to the address they've constructively evicted me from for 2.5 years now. It's a constructive eviction. Leave me homeless. I have 2 years of important mail sitting there now that I cannot get without getting arrested. I've asked the last 11 attorneys to have the no contact lifted. I've asked for and demanded reasonable accommodations, which would be under the Americans with Disabilities Act, time and time again, and those requests are ignored, not only in this case but others. I'm not a slave to this court. I'm very aware of what they're doing and continue to do to me. Also, if I'm represented, there's no reason for me to be there in person, but I am owed the opportunity and accommodation to be present by phone or Zoom. So I don't understand what you wrote in regards to the Capias. Was there another Capias issued? And she ain't very freaking. She don't care. So part of my motion to recall the Capias was a request for reasonable accommodations for ADA to appear remotely. It appears that part was ignored and ultimately denied, as my hearing is tomorrow and I've heard nothing about it. My rights keep being violated in an extreme manner, and I'm being denied fair and equal access to the courts as well as fair and equal protection under the law. Will you please clarify why I'm not being allowed to participate remotely? This in and of itself is creating huge problems and something that's festered in an ungodly nightmare that will not end. If you stick around long enough to analyze the discovery and evidence, you'll see that I'm the only party with documented injuries, rather severe ones. You'll also hear testimony from a witness that was thrown to the ground, dragged on the floor, picked up, and thrown out the door. The state knows this, the judge knows this, and all my prior attorneys know this. It's very frustrating having to explain myself to an endless number of attorneys, only to have them quit after stalling or trying to lead me in the wrong direction. There's much more that needs to be addressed and even investigated, but my remote attendance is critical, seeing that the hearing tomorrow is the hearing. I'm not going to elaborate on all of this. I'm going to read it. But I've asked for remote hearings. There's obviously circumstances, but they don't care about. So we'll just read through this. In my petition, I state the fact that this hearing is even needed as a direct result of the court's failure to provide me consistent, effective, and ethical counsel. Why the judge would issue a capias for a failure to appear at a hearing that was set by an attorney who's long gone is absurd. I cannot be expected to have to appear and represent myself when I've addressed these failures of the court to provide counsel and have addressed my need to appear remotely. I truly believe I'm being maliciously prosecuted in an attempt to cover for the Pasco Sheriff's Office, who falsely arrested me, kidnapping and imprisoning me because of their consistent and well-documented target me that has lasted nearly a decade now. So, that was on the 1st. You don't get back. I say, here's documented proof that I was the actual victim in this case. I had a human bite mark on my right upper arm, bruising on my knees from being thrown to the ground and dragged by my feet around the floor. I also had a handprint on my left upper arm, but she failed to note that. I'm talking about Kirsten, whatever her name is here, the RN. No one else had any injuries, and the sheriff never questioned me about anything, especially my injuries. So, here's this. This is 3/19. 3/19/2022, the night that I got beat up. Patient appears with bite mark right upper extremity and ecchymotic areas bilateral knees. So I have a bite mark on me. On my right upper arm. And bruising bilaterally on my knees. She just ignores it. Try to call the court call-in line. Was on there nearly a half hour. Tried to call you, was on there as well. Why am I being utterly excluded from my own child's proceedings? This is all time-stamped. Call the court hearing line. I'm on there 4 minutes, 55 seconds. I call her, conference caller. Nobody answers. So she gets back to me. That's on the 2nd. 3 days later. Judge did not have court today. Judge. He does tomorrow, Tuesday. I plan to talk to him then regarding your reported attempts to speak by phone for the motion you filed. I'll write again after I talk to him. Nothing else to share with this time. So I made every attempt to be there, but they deny me every step of the way. Fair and equal protection of the law, fair and equal access to the courts. So I'm including once again the evidence that I was a victim in this case. It's self-evident. Please let me know if you have any questions on why I was covered in bite marks and bruises, yet I went to jail for receiving these injuries rather than the people that gave me them according to jail. Rather than the people that gave me them going to jail. So these dogs are going crazy. I presented this irrefutable evidence to all since I finally obtained it, but it's ignored. Thanks. P.S. I also like to share with you the associate case that was mangled and ignored by the courts that is discussed by witnesses in the body of worn camera footage that led to this case when you're ready. It was called a mental delusion, but actually has existed for nearly a quarter century in reality. So that I share again. Why am I covered in bite marks and bruises? Bite marks. Human bite marks. So then she gets back to me. It was the 5th. Responding to say, received your email regarding your injuries and other concerns. Certainly, there appears to be matters in question. Yeah. For 885 days. However, my focus at this time is the status of the case, given that the Capias for you exists. I write again update after I talk to Judge tomorrow. Yeah, absolute proof of my innocence. But no, the focus at times on the Capias. These people, these lawyers, collude and conspire. It's corpus juris secundum. Their first duty and obligation is to the courts. They're an officer of the court. And that's their first obligation, not to the client. So right back. Yeah, the fruit of the poisonous tree and the denial of counsel led to the Capias. I called it months before, and I did. It's on my community post. I said exactly what was going to happen, and this is exactly what happened. Hopefully, you can successfully get rid of the Capias I argued against that went ignored. So on the 6th. Hello, today outcome. Short version. I don't want the short version. I'm not a fucking moron. And I know what you're doing. M remains not granted heard. So I imagine that's a motion. Not granted / heard, so not heard. Capias remains bonded $0. Certainly tomorrow I'll write again with more details. Today at this time I arrived. Stop working due to indications of a headache. Migraine? Had indications of a headache? This bitch is broken. I don't care about your headache. It's just a headache. And that was on the 6th. Court event form said it was denied. I sent her. It's denied. Recall Capias. Denied. David Capel, Sanford, Todd Pollard. She don't get back to me. So it looks like the original Capias was recalled, but never was issued. Why would they reissue why would they issue a Capias when you were at the calendar call? A calendar call for a trial that surely was canceled. This is the 4th calendar call for the 4th jury trial that has been canceled. It's beyond clearly evident this court has denied me at every level and will never allow me a trial. Per judge, recall Capias on 7/16 issues 0 bond. Capias failure to appear. When I have an attorney there, not a very good one, a very terrible one. Right back. I want to make you aware that one of the most recent attorneys after a period of 6 months or so caused significant damage to me in my case. She filed to try to have me evaluated as being incompetent to stand trial. So they denied 4 jury trials, and the triple felon lawyer tried to do twice to deny me a jury trial by lying to the judge. So she filed a trial. She filed to try to have me evaluated as being incompetent to stand trial. She did this in retaliation for me filing a bar complaint against her for ineffective counsel. I told the judge she had 2 felonies, was on drugs, alcohol, and had brain damage. The judge completely ignored me and sided with her. She now has a 3rd felony charge for perjury. How does this factor into my trial as it's caused so much damage? Here are some experts from one of her trials to highlight these facts. Also, she didn't appear at court the other day and does not have a KP issue on her. So you can read this at your will. This is my 8th attorney. She was out of it. She's under the influence, yes. Wouldn't say out of it, just under the influence. My attorney's on drugs and on alcohol. Heavy friggin' street drugs. Would you say she has, or she was still suffering from sort of impairment? Some type of slurring, glossy eyes, fuzzy, or fucking whatever. They collect drugs at her house, paraphernalia. It's sick. She's cognitive decline. They're talking about alcohol, Ritalin, MDMA. This is about Amber Smatwell. She's on. I've had an attorney that tried to get me deemed mentally incompetent that has 3 felonies now, that's on drugs. No, they'll just keep going. MDMA and methamphetamines, or amphetamines, what they say here. Pause it and read it. There's hundreds of pages on my 8th attorney. Her baseline cognitive abilities. It's my understanding she was performing some legal work. I don't know the type of work she was performing. In fact, on February 28th, 2022, she appeared in Hillsborough County Court and conducted a full termination of parental rights. Are you aware of this? She's doing all sorts of F shit. And I put this in. Amber Patwell, Dino Michaels, defendant Eric Patwell, and counsel for Eric Patwell. Esquire. Defendant Amber Patwell was not present. So she's not present. Amber Patwell don't show up for her own trial. She don't get a freaking warrant. So on the 7th, I read, this attorney's husband beat her up, admitted to it, and the prosecutor dropped the charges. Why would they drop charges on him, but pursue charging me when I was the actual victim of a crime? Eric Patwell. Discharge. 10 frickin' was taking 127 doctors. Took 10, and Eric got let go. Confidential crime victim was Amber Patwell. And this is all. Look, you see, it's redacted. It's all public information. The victim and defendant were involved in a verbal altercation, forced the victim out of the front of the house, caused him to fall to the floor. This is my 8th attorney. At which point the victim saying both their legs, consistent with their statements. The defendant was located in the residence where he was placed in the custody. So, Amber freaking husband beats her up. She's got injuries to her legs. She gets off, or he gets off. But I get injuries to my legs. I get charged. And this right here. This is the prosecutor. They filed it as no information. The state attorney, having conducted an investigation of this matter, concludes that the facts and circumstances revealed do not warrant prosecution at this time. This is my 8th attorney getting beat up by her husband. They file as no information, so you look at the docket, it's just no information, so there's no one to look at it. They dismissed the case. The guy said he beat up Amber. They were both on drugs, alcohol, beating the kids up. So back on the 7th. This goes on and on. This lady won't get back to me. Please take a look at my other case and see how biased and prejudiced this court is against me. Everything I submit is either denied or completely ignored. There are many others, especially with Judge Gray, that show the same bias and prejudice. Some of my cases have been completely erased from court records, including one where Judge Gray found me guilty of not having numbers on my mailbox, which is federal, and they changed it after the fact to my house not having numbers on it, which it did, and charged me with a building code violation. My foreclosure is gone as well. I found a career criminal attached himself as an unknown heir to my property to steal my equity. He has also attached himself to 30 other foreclosures. I've attempted to report this to the Department of Justice and the Florida Bar, and they have no interest in investigating these crimes. And this is small claims about frickin' my trustee. You can look at that case by itself. Totally ignored. So also in 2022, I filed a police report about a stalker that had not left me alone in years, and still doesn't leave me alone. She's a federal employee who's using my last name, spreading all sorts of libel and slander, as well as swatting me and making all sorts of anonymous phone calls. The sheriff did nothing. I also attempted to file for a protective injunction. The 6th Judicial threw it in the garbage. The case number exists, but they would not consider it. Another example of how this court is violating my rights. I have the case number and video evidence of me trying to file at the courthouse. But she gets back. Ms. Teeling, as you related, the court issued a capias for your failure. So she's going to ignore everything I just said. The court issued a capias for your failure to appear at the calendar call. Set the bond zero or call the capias had been issued when you failed to appear at the preceding pretrial conference. Therefore, there's one active capias in the case. My presence as your court-assigned attorney did not mean that your attendance has been waived. Also, as you related, he did not grant your motion. I did share with the court that you had left me voicemails beginning before the time of the motion hearing, that your voicemails, I'm paraphrasing, said that you were waiting on a call line but were not successful in connecting, and that I did not learn them until after court because I routinely turned on my phone before and during court. She ignored my calls. He noted that you were not present. I'm not aware of any existing order that authorized you to appear speak by Zoom. The situation at this time is an active warrant, zero bond for a Florida misdemeanor charge. Regarding your recent multiple emails, a capias is the issue at this time. So she ignored a career criminal attached to the frickin' foreclosures and mortgage fraud. She ignores me filing for injunctions that get thrown in the garbage. She ignores that all my ADA accommodations are denied. She ignores everything. She's issued about the capias, and that's where it's going to remain. The capias. That's all. She's part of the system, and she just is going to let it stew and sit. She's not going to do a thing. I easily found the court listening for the prior attorney and readily see the charge filed against her, but I have no way of answering questions of why one person is charged and one person has capias and so on, or not so. So an attorney that lied about me, that lost her kids, that's on drugs, that tried to screw me over, one of the many, has nothing to do with this case now? So I email back. All right, so I have a capias. I have irrefutable evidence of my innocence. She ignored my evidence. I have documented evidence of years of targeting by the Pasco Sheriff's Office. What now? There's been 2.5 years I had my rights violated. I've explained and petitioned the court extensively for remote hearings and accommodations under the Americans with Disabilities Act. It appears that I will never go to trial. I'm not a citizen, as I'm not entitled to any rights as one would have as such. This affects everything about my life. I guess I just never come back to Florida. I've been kicked out of both of my homes, been denied access to my trust fund, and I'm effectively barred from returning to my home state, where I've attempted to build a life over the last 20 years. I need better answers. Doesn't get back to me. I knew exactly what the court was going to do months ago. and stated it publicly. It's on here. I stated it publicly. I said exactly what they're going to do. Even that person, Shannon, talked about it. They denied me a lawyer until the last minute, knowing I wouldn't be there and that my 4th trial would be canceled. I knew they would issue warrants. It's a hornet's nest of corruption and collusion. This court supports the criminal activities of the Pasco Sheriff's Office and works hand in hand with them, targeting people they don't like. I had also, email back. I also had mentioned to you that the Pasco Sheriff's Office opened an investigation over my protected free speech and got a warrant signed up, no problem, to track my cell phone. They sent cops in different states to harass and intimidate me. This is non-stop legal abuse of a disabled triple minority. That's on the 7th. On the 15th, I haven't received a response from you. Can I get a status update? What are your strategies and timeline for this? I've been demanding a speedy trial since inception and continue to demand such. So on the 15th. And yesterday. It's been 12 days since you've emailed me. I sent you an email 4 days ago and still have not received a response. Just some very basic questions. This trial is approaching nearly 900 days now, and nothing has progressed in the slightest way since she gets back to me. Miss Tailing, it appeared to me that you understood your case at a standstill. Given that there is an active Florida water misdemeanor case, that's the situation as it stands. I write back, it's been at a standstill over 2.5 years. What are you doing to change that? There shouldn't be a war in the first place. And nothing. This woman is going to do nothing. She's playing their game. They have their little meetings. They want to stall the clock. They want to kick the can down the road and hope somebody dies. You cannot get fair and equal protection under the law. You cannot get a freaking jury trial in front of your peers. Denied. I've had my rights violated every level. I presented rock solid evidence that I'm the only one with injuries. This is a sick system full of sick people. This Marie Mabry, 12th attorney, doing nothing. Absolutely nothing. I love her confidentiality note. I'm going to share this everywhere. The information contains electronic and legally privileged and confidential. No, it's not. This is sick. Nobody in America has ever dealt with this kind of shit and lived to tell the tale. None. Tell me that the Constitution applies. Tell me that these courts are real. Tell me that these lawyers are on your side. This is going to end. This is going to end. And I'm going to take all these people's bar cards. But you can go look up. I'm going to keep this short. Amber Powell, still licensed to practice with 3 felonies, losing her kids on drugs. The stripper lawyer, whatever her name is, Jacinia, lying. And I'm pretty sure I posted that video or that audio where she lied to the judge. I can post the Amber Powell stuff, and I will post it, where she doesn't even talk to me in court, has a sidebar with the prosecutor and the judge, Judge Gray, to make me wait till last when I did go into court, so there would be no witnesses around. These people are sick. This is not America. It is America, but it's gone. It's absolutely gone. I appreciate your support. Appreciate any help you can give me. Somebody can get me on somebody get me on Software Belly. There's a couple other channels. I'm going to put some names out, and I need your help getting on some of these places. Enough is enough.